Do you want a brain? No, seriously, what if you had one of the best artists' brain in the world? Wouldn't that be cool? We'll get back to that in a moment. In this PowerPacked video, we're gonna learn how to color grade more than 15 images in no time using the best color grading tool I have ever come across personally. And you, my friend, will learn a variety of Kryptonian techniques. We're gonna go over quickly color grading in seconds, stacking, using channels, creating light maps, selective color, harmonizing, a trick to save groups of layers as filters, choosing the best look, and so much more. How's this even possible? It's not a filter, it's not a preset, it's not even an action. It's a brain. A retoucher's brain. And just like a real brain, the infinite color panel gives you a unique look every single time that is only and only yours. The brain we are talking about today belongs to the world-renowned retoucher who I am honored to call a friend, Pratik Naik, also the creator of Infinite Color Panel. This guy is big all over the magazines from Vogue to Elle and everything in between. I don't even know how to pronounce that. He has also had his hands in many commercial projects from National Geographic to Phase 1. Man, I have to say I'm jealous. If you're not inclining towards the panel yet, that's okay, but I guarantee that this will blow your mind. Also, most of the tips that we learn today can be applied even if you are doing it manually. But here's the thing, sometimes we just don't know what we want. In the end, we have a very important download for you all. Stay tuned. So his mind overclocked on your images. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop, and first of all, let's talk about the quick approach. Now, what is the quick approach? Here we have a beautiful, handsome man. All you need to do, first of all, open the panel by going to Windows. And once you install the panel, it will be under Extensions, and this is Infinite Color. Now, you can place it anywhere you want. I'm going to place it to the left just like this. Super simple. Step number 1, select the intensity of color grading you want. Do you want it light, medium, or intense? We're going to select light. Step number 2, click on Create and stop at what you like. So keep on clicking. Wow, it begins to give you some amazing looks. I love that. Have a look at it. It has created a group of infinite color consisting of several adjustment layers used for color grading. So here's the before, here's the after. Now step number 3, play with the opacity. If you think it's too much, just go to the group and play with the opacity. I guess for this example, 80 is fine and we are pretty much good to go. Here's the before, here's the after. If you want to build up on it, you would rename this to something else, let's say 1, and click on Create again. So another group is now created. Have a look, 2 groups. So if you want to build up on it, just start renaming it and you're good to go. Just wanted to show you some of the looks that I created using Infinite Color Panel. So here's warm and professional. I really like that. Subtle and awesome. The Mission Impossible look, everything using Infinite Color, just clicking and clicking. That's it. And the 1940s look. I don't know what to call it, but I just named it that way. This brings us to a second example where we will learn how to build up on it. So let's get to it. Have a look at it. It's interesting. I like it, but we can do more with it. Let's go open the Infinite Color Panel, go to Windows, Extensions, and Infinite Color Panel. You can even stick it here if you want, just like that, and we're good. I want a little bit medium here. So let's create it. I don't like that. Just keep on clicking, stop at what you like. For example, you like this on her, or maybe you like this on her. So have a look. Here's the before, here's the after. You totally love this on her, but you don't like it at the top. So here's what we do. We collapse this and click on the mask button. Okay, now we have a mask for the group. Now you take the brush, make sure the foreground color is black, opacity and flow at 100, make the brush a little bigger and paint out the top, just like this. Okay, and paint her in by pressing X to toggle between the foreground and the background. Foreground color should be white this time, and paint out the arm, this area which was remaining. Okay, now that you've painted that out, you can just rename it and name it bottom. Okay. Now let's click on Create again and stop at what you like for the top. So for example, it's so addictive. You can just go on and on and on and on, and this just doesn't stop. For example, you like this one. By the way, you can go back and forth by pressing Ctrl-Alt-Z, Command-Option-Z on a Mac. Now let's just collapse that. You don't need to create a mask again. Hold the Alt or Option, click and drag to this one. Now it has the same mask. We don't want that. We want just the opposite. With the mask selected, press Ctrl or Command I. Now it's only on the top, and you can name it top if you want. Now overall, if you want to do a light color grading on top of it, you can just do that again to make it even more dramatic. That's totally upon you. I totally love that. Now let's collapse that, and probably I won't like that much of an opacity. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's go 27. That's okay. Now to add more drama to it, this is something additional. You can add a curves adjustment layer. Take it down from the middle just like this. Okay, collapse it. With the mask selected, with the brush selected, foreground color black, just create a dot in the middle. Just dab on the middle. Control or Command T. Let's resize that. Just like this. Okay, looks pretty cool. No, right? Just open up the properties of the mask by going to Windows and then Properties, and just simply, here's the mask properties, just simply increase the feather. Just like this. And it's too much. Let's decrease the opacity. Do this. Have a look. Here's the before. Here's the after. You might like it, you might not like it, but you can really build up on it and create something amazing. Here's the final result that I ended up with after clicking on create a couple more times. So here's the before and here's the after. Looks so much more dreamy, right? There's one amazing feature in this panel that I wanted to talk about, and it's really cool, that allows you to customize each adjustment layer. And there it is. Have a look at this example. I already color graded it using infinite colors. So here's the before, here's the after, but I don't quite like it. I like the contrast, but I don't appreciate the green color on it. So here's what you do. Let's open up the group. Look at which adjustment layer is creating that green. So in this case, I guess it's the color balance, right? Color lookup is okay. I like that. Gradient map is okay. Selective color is pretty good. Curves is okay. But the only thing that's creating the greens is color balance. So have a look at the panel. Beside every adjustment, there is a shuffle icon. So if you don't like color balance, you can just click on the shuffle and it begins to give you different looks. You like this one? Stop here. You're pretty much good to go. So anything you like, for example, you don't like the color lookup. So beside the color lookup, you will click on shuffle and stop at what you like. So you can customize it once you like something and there's just one element that you don't like, you can simply shuffle it. Let's have a look at this next example where the colors are becoming a little dull. So here's the before, here's the after, and the red is going away. We don't want that to happen. So let's see what's causing it. It's the gradient map. So first of all, select which kind of grading you want, light, medium, or intense. So I'm going to choose medium, and gradient map, we're going to shuffle that. Have a look. Just one shuffle. Solved it. And I really like that look. So shuffling is the key when we don't like just one single element. That brings us to our next example. What if you don't want that element at all? What if you want to remove it? Let's have a look at this example. And why would you remove it? Have a look. Suppose you love this image and you would do a little bit of color grading, and let's choose intense this time. Let me show this to you. If you click on create, you just hate the colors. We like the warm looks. We don't want to make it green. If you click again, have a look. It's giving it some color every single time. This red color, this green color. We don't like it. So let's see which adjustment is creating that color. This one is not. This one is not so much. Selective color plays a major role whenever there's a color shift. So we just don't want any color shift at all. So here's what we do. We can also turn one adjustment off. One or more. So you can click on it. It just makes it gray. It means that this is now turned off. Now when you click on create, selective color just won't be created. So I'm going to choose medium-ish and keep on clicking and stop at what we like. So I'm liking that look. So let's go back. This is amazing. Have a look. Here's the before. Here's the after. I think I like the before more, to be honest. So keep on clicking and I'm sure you will come across something that you like. There you go. Isn't that great? Let me show you what I finally came up with. So I clicked a little bit more and here's the before, here's the after. Look at that warm look. Totally interesting, isn't it? Before, after. In this example, let's learn how to work the panel with skin tones. Now with skin tones, we don't need so much of a color shift. So here's what we do. Have a look at this. Let's zoom in. Now first off, I would do this. Select intense and then click on create. Something absolutely intense. Then with the group selected, collapse this group, hold the Alt or Option. Click on the mask button. It creates a negative mask. Then with the help of the brush, foreground color white, just simply paint on her skin to see which areas are being affected. That's it. And that's why we did something extreme. And this is not the final one. We are making her avatar. All right, let's just simply paint. You don't have to be super careful. Maybe you do have to, but I'm being pretty quick because I don't want to bore you or make you monotonous or anything like that. Okay, there you go. Now, once you have painted on the skin, you would click on light because we don't want so much of a change on the skin. Also, selective color makes a lot of change. We don't want that. Gradient map uniforms it a little bit. We don't want that. Color balance makes too much changes. We don't want that on the color side. We just want curves and color lookup. Now, this works great for me personally. You can choose whatever you want. You can do your own experiments, but I just want these two here. Then click on create. Then it begins to give you some good looks that would go great with the skin. Wow, I love that. Have a look. Here's the before. Here's the after. Makes it so much more warmer and adds a little contrast to it. So I like that as well. So that's how we do it. We just keep on the adjustments that we want in our image, and you can turn off the rest. Now, some of you might ask, and this is a very valid question, that why do we need light, medium, and intense? We can just select intense and stop at what we like and lower the opacity. You know what? I tried it. It doesn't work that way. So if you select intense, let's see, and click on create, and wow, you like that, but not so much. You want it light. So you click on the infinite color group, decrease the opacity. It isn't so much effective. It's good, but not very effective. So if you want it to be effective, you have to decide ahead of time whether you want it light, medium, or intense. So if you want light color grading and you choose light, it will give you much better result than choosing intense and reducing the opacity later. So I would select light and then play with it. It gives me much more better looks for this image. Now it depends upon the image. You might want medium, you might want extreme or intense. Select what you like. Lowering the opacity just helps you adjust it. But if you have a look in your mind, if you want to do it intense or if you want to do it light, it is crafted that way amazingly. So I'm good with this. Have a look. Here's the before, here's the after. Just a little bit of contrast. I love it that way. Coming to the most important part of the video, and this is my favorite. This is how you shape the light and make it even more dramatic. Add color to it. This is going to be awesome. So let's have a look. There is extreme highlight. There is also extreme shadow. What if we attack on them differently? And here's the tip. Whenever there's a highlight, go intense on it. I've experimented it with my own images, and highlights work really great with intense. So select intense and then just click on create. Doesn't matter what look comes up. Right now, all we have to do is to create a highlight mask. And how can we create a mask? You cannot use blend if here. You cannot just double click on the right side of the layer and then take the slide of the underlying layer from left to right. This just doesn't work. So how can we make it work? Simple. Turn it off, go to channels, hold the control or command, click on the thumbnail of RGB. This makes a selection based on luminosity. So 100% white areas are 100% selected, black areas are 0% selected, gray areas are 50% selected, mid-gray, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Now let's get back to layers. Turn it on with the selection active, click on the mask button. Now whatever we do is limited only to the highlights. Now keep clicking on create. Wow, I love that. Okay, now let's name it highlights. Pretty cool. Let's collapse that. Now click on create again. This is for the shadows. So do we have to do that again for the shadows? No. All we need to do, hold the Alt or Option, click and drag and drop it on the second one. And this one is for the shadows, but it's the same mask. We need to invert it. With the mask selected, press Ctrl or Command I, and you can name this shadows. But before you name it shadows, select the one that you like. So for the shadows, here's another tip. For me, light has worked pretty well because when we choose intense, the shadows didn't look so much good to me. So when I choose light, the shadows look great. So select a shadow that you like. I love that. Have a look at it. So here's the before, here's the after. Gives it a warm, really nice look. Finally, I ended up giving it a little lighter look. So before, after, just a little bit of color grading goes a long way. I just wanted to zoom in and show that to you. So before, after. And the more subtle you go with color grading, the more professional it tends to be. Now, since we are talking about highlights and shadows, let me give you one more tip. In this image, in this example, I color graded it using the same method that we just did. Have a look. So here's the before, here's the after. On the highlight, I tried to add some yellowish tint. On the shadows, as you can see, a little bit blue. Okay, this looks pretty cool. But the highlights are not very intense. I applied it with intense, but it just doesn't look right. So here's the tip. Instead of applying just one highlight, why not just double it? So press Ctrl or Command J, See, it becomes more intense. Control or Command J again, J again, J again, J again. Have a look. I'm happy with this. Group all of the highlights, select the top highlight, hold Shift. Now select the bottom highlight, press Control or Command G. Now you have some amazing highlights. So duplicating the adjustment helps us to increase the intensity even more, and you might need this for highlights. Now what if you want more control over selecting the highlights and the shadows? And that can be done very easily by using color range. And how is that possible? First of all, let's open up Infinite Color panel by going to Windows, Extensions, and Infinite Color. I closed it accidentally. And let's select Intense and Create. Suppose I like this for the highlights. Oh my god, so many good ones. Okay. Wow, this looks amazing, isn't it? Here's the before, here's the after. I can just decrease the opacity and this will be good to go. But for the explanation for this example, if you want the highlights, only the highlights of this color, and you want to select which areas this applies, and you want more control than channels, here's what we do. You turn that off for a second and then go to select color range. Now, we are not selecting any color. We're just selecting highlights and shadows and something like that. We need to select highlights. Now, make sure the selection preview is grayscale. White are the areas which are selected. Black are the areas which are not selected. First of all, we would decrease the fuzziness and the range all the way to 0 and then gradually increase the range. For example, you want this to be selected. Now it's very harsh. We want a little bit of softness to it. So you increase the fuzziness. For these cases, I usually keep it at 100 and then play with the range. It gives a very soft effect. And then reduce it a little bit. I want just this much. And this is okay for me. Now, once you're happy with this, just hit OK. Now, probably I'll just increase the range even more. Hit OK. Now you have that area in active selection. Now turn this on and click on the mask button. Now it only applies to highlights. So you can name it highlights if you like what you see. Hi. All right. I'm not high. Let's click on create again. And it creates your shadows. Now before you do click on create many more times, you would hold the Alt or Option, click and drag, and drop it on this group. Select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I because we want just the opposite. Now keep on clicking on create and stop at what you like. I like that one. You can also choose light as we learned before. Little light color grading on the shadows really help. I like that one. So you can just go on and select what you like. I love that light in the shadows. Now I think the highlights are too much, so I'm just going to decrease the opacity a little bit. Go 6470-ish. And let's go with the shadows. And maybe, what about medium? We have to select something which is dark. Wow, I love that. So here's the shadows and here's the highlights. Interesting, isn't it? And if you want to increase the intensity, what do? We just double it. Ctrl or Command J. Ctrl or Command J again. I love this. Not so much, just 2 double copies are good. Now light is a very interesting thing. There's so much we can do with light. Let's talk about something that I've never talked about before. How about creating light maps? Now, what are soft light maps? Let's have a look. So we have this example. Light is coming from the left-hand side. Let's just drag it and drop it here so that we can see the ray of light. All right. What if you want to intensify it? Not just brighten the highlights. What if you want to intensify the area of light? What do I mean by that? Instead of using the channels to create masks, here's what we do. We duplicate it. Ctrl or Command J. Now we desaturate it. Ctrl Shift U. Command Shift U. Now go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. Let's do it this way. Okay. Now select a very high number that completely blends everything and gives just soft areas of light. 741 is okay, 800 is okay. For your image, it might be a different number. Now once you're happy with something, just hit OK. Next, let's apply curves to it. Go to Image, Adjustments, and then Curves. The shortcut is Ctrl or Command M. Now all we need to do here is to bring this point to touch this and bring this slider to touch this slider, not point. Okay, so you can also hold the Alt or Option, and just when you begin to see the artifacts, stop. Same goes with this side, hold the Alt or Option, and just when you begin to see the whites, stop right there. Hit OK. Now turn it off for a moment. Now let's apply some intense color grading to it. So for example, for the highlights, you want something like this. Okay. So all we need to do, we need to first of all select the group. Let's collapse it. Click on the mask button. It creates a mask. See where we are going with this? Now turn it off for a moment. Turn this on. Okay. Control or Command A, Control or Command C, copying it, turn it off, turn it on, hold the Alt or Option, click on the mask that makes the mask visible, press Control or Command V. Now we are using this as a mask. Isn't that pretty cool? Press Control or Command D and we are good to go. Now if you just simply turn it on, have a look at it. So here's without the mask, here's with the mask, just on the highlights. Now let's go ahead and click on Create to create different kinds of highlights. Wow, I loved this and I loved that as well. Let's just go back. Wow. Now, if you like this, you can make a duplicate of it. So let's name it High. Control or Command J. Control or Command J again. I totally love this. Not too many. High copy is fine. Now let's go ahead and create something for the shadows. Let's choose Light and Create. Now with the shadows, don't forget it. Do this. Hold the Alt or Option. Click on the mask, drag it and drop it on the shadow one. Press Control or Command I to just limit it to the shadows. Then just keep on clicking. See which one you like for the shadows. Wow, I love that one. You can just keep clicking all day and you will come across some amazing results. Oh, I like that one too. Interesting. So this is the look that I finally settled with. So here's the before and here is the after. That's awesome, isn't it? Now, after clicking so many times, I ended up with so many looks that I couldn't decide which one to select, and this can get totally addictive, and that's a warning. Now let's go more advanced. Let's dive deeper into colors. Have a look at this. Do you like this? No, I don't really like this. So here's the before, here's the after. You know what's missing? The red is going away, and I'm not liking it. That red is the main thing of the image. So here is what we do. We first of all turn this off, come back to the layer, and then we go to select and then color range and select that red. So make sure you're in sampled colors and then with the help of this eyedropper tool, you click on the red sample. Then with the help of the plus eyedropper tool, you start clicking on other red areas as well. Just like this. And then you play with fuzziness to see most of the red is selected, but not the road. We don't want the road to be selected. This is okay. Now, once you're satisfied, just hit OK. Now you have that selection active. Now with that selection active, you turn on the infinite color group and click on the mask button. And it would help if you hold the Alt or Option and then click on the mask button. It creates just the opposite with the red erased. So whatever you do will not affect the red. Now you can go intense. Now you can work on it, but the red still remains intact. Wow. See, I like that. Red is not affected and everything else is color graded, right? Cool. So you can just go on and not affect the reds. I love that. So you will come across many looks that you like. Let's go medium on this. Wow, this is amazing, isn't it? So let me show you the before and after. So here's the before, here's the after. Makes it so much more better and the red remains intact. Using the same technique, we can target different colors and color grade it differently. So have a look at this example. I already did it. Using color range, I selected the leaves and then applied infinite color on it and boosted the color of the leaf and did the opposite on the other areas, non-leaf areas. Have a look. So we color grade differently on different areas based on colors. That really gives you the complete control of how each color area is being adjusted. Similarly, we did the same with this example. And this time, let me show you how to do it. So here is the before and here's the after. We boosted the color of the leaves. And then we also gave a little bit color grading to the other areas. So let's delete it. And all we need to do, first of all, select Intense, click on Create. Let's turn it off and you can do this later as well. That's totally upon you. Select this and then go to Select and then Color Range. Select the leaf with the help of this and make sure your selection preview to none so that you can see what's happening here. And then with the eyedropper tool, you would click on the leaf. And as you can see, most of the leaf is selected. Decrease the fuzziness. And then with the plus, you click on other leaves as well, other green areas. Make sure her face is not selected. This is good. Now you can change the preview to grayscale, increase the fuzziness, This is good. Just make sure her face is not totally selected. A little bit is okay. Alright, you're happy with this and just hit OK. Now we have that active selection. Now you turn on the group. With the group selected, click on the mask button. Now that applies only to the leaf. Have a look, here's the before, here's the after. So much more boosted, amazing. So you can keep on clicking it and choose whatever you like. I like this green. I like that color. You can just go crazy with this thing. Wow, that blue was interesting too. So I'm going to stop at something like that, or let's say green. So here's the before, here's the after, a little bit boosted. Now we would name it leaves. Okay, now click on again. I like that, but I don't like it on the leaves. So hold the Alt or Option, click and drag it and drop it on this one. And this time Control or Command I so that it only applies to the other areas. So now click on Create, see what you like for the other areas, maybe light. Wow. Have a look, here's the before, here's the after. It gives it a little more brighter look. This is good too, before, after. Gives it so much more contrast. So you can choose whatever style you like in whichever area you want, either using color range or simple masks. That's totally upon you. Now what if your image has too many colors and you just want to bring it down? You want to give it a uniform style. And there's one more feature with the infinite color panel that we haven't talked about yet. And that is Harmonize. Have a look. With big letters, Harmonize. All we need to do is to click on Harmonize. And it analyzes the colors, analyzes the highlights, and creates 3 colors for you that's applied to the highlights, midtones, and shadows. Let's have a look at the before and after. So let's just close it. So here is the after, and here is the before. Too many colors, too saturated, and here is the after. Less saturated, looking good. Now, this doesn't end here. All you can do is double click on it and change the color of highlights, shadows, and midtones. That's the real beauty of this. So let's go to Hue. And I think this color is good for the highlights. Hit OK. For the midtones, I guess I will choose something more warmer, like that. Let's choose that color. And for the shadows, I would choose this color right over there. Let's make it a little darker. Hit OK. I can also control the opacity. By default, it's at 30%. So you can increase it if you want, and giving it much more uniform look. For this example, I would choose something around 25 and it's great. So here's the before, here's the after, very minute change, but brings the crowded colors down. Let me help you. Let me help you see more. So now you can see it better. Here's the before, too crowded, here's the after. That's probably too much. Keep it 35 so that you can see what's happening. Okay, so that was the Harmonize feature. On top of that, you can color grade it. So it will be on the same group. So light color grading on the same group. So inside of infinite color, you have all these adjustment layers, and also the Harmonize group is inside the infinite color group. So you can just keep on clicking, stop it what you like. Wow, I love that. So we have both Harmonize and color grading. Thank you so very much for staying with me. Now let's come to the most important part of the tutorial. Even if you're not using the panel, this can be very useful to you. And Pratik taught me this, and this is so amazing. Right? So for example, you created a series of adjustments and the image looks awesome. What is the use of it if you cannot save it, right? So I did something. Here's the before, here's the after, just to minute something. I wanted to show you some examples. All right. And you want to save it in case you want to apply it to other images. So how can we save it? That's the most important thing. All we need to do, if you're using Adobe Photoshop CC, if you're a Creative Cloud member, go to Windows, and then Libraries. And you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Autumn. Naming is important. Autumn. Okay. And then all we need to do with the libraries open, drag it and drop it on the library. Awesome. Now it's being uploaded. It's uploaded to the cloud. Now, even if you delete it, now you might think before you just turn this tutorial off and before you just drag and drop it here, it's not going to work. You need to watch this. If you just simply drag it and drop it over here, a smart object is going to be created which is not going to make any sense to you. So let's move it there. It's making no changes to this. So you need to watch. If you double click here though, it will open up another document with all the layers intact. So we have to open the layers, not the image as a smart object. Okay, so instead of doing that, here's what we do. We right click on it and choose Place layers. Now it places the layers, and here we have it. Also what we can do, let's delete it first. Hold the Alt or Option and then drag it and drop it here. That way the layers will be placed. Simply dragging and dropping creates a smart object of the whole thing. We don't want that, we just want the layers. Now, the advantage of it is this, that anywhere you are in the world, wherever there is an internet connection, you can just log into Adobe Photoshop and then open up your libraries, and it will be there because it's in the cloud. And you can apply it to any image you want. Cool, isn't it? Now think of a situation where you're just clicking on create and you're going like click, click, click. Oh, I like that one. Click, click. I like that one too. Click, click, click. I like that one. So of all the ones that you like, how do you just bring them together and select the one that you like the best? Here's how to do it. So for example, you like this look. You would go to Windows and then History. Now inside of History, you would click on this camera button. It creates a snapshot. And that's what cameras do, take a snapshot. Now, click on Create. Let's select Medium. I like that as well. Click on the camera button. Click on Create, keep on clicking, and suppose you like something like this one as well. Click on the camera. Okay, create, create, create. I like that one too. Click on the camera. Now as you can see, 4 snapshots have been created. Now you can move to the first one that we created, second one, third one, or fourth one. Choose the one you like and just you're okay with it. Now here's one more tip. What if you want to create different documents or different versions with all of the 4 snapshots? Easy. So for snapshot 4, if you want to create a different document with that selected, click on plus. So snapshot 4 is created. Now let's get back to this. Now say you liked snapshot 2. Click on snapshot 2 and click on plus. So you have different documents, snapshot 2 and snapshot 4. Different Photoshop documents, you can save them. It's so awesome, isn't it? Also, one of the great features of Infinite Color Panel is that it doesn't create dozens of steps inside of History, unlike any other action. So if you have ever applied actions, you cannot just go back by pressing Ctrl or Command Z. It just doesn't take you back. It takes you back a step. It doesn't take you to a moment before applying the action. Instead, in the Infinite Color Panel, it doesn't create all those messy stuff in History. So you can also choose History to choose the previous looks that you like. So for example, you like that one, you like this one. So you can go through the previous 10 or 20 looks depending upon how many History steps you have set in your preferences. The panel is not giving you complete random results. All of the results are created by different adjustments working together in coordination to give you something unique. These adjustments are based on Pratik's work as high-end commercial retoucher. So it takes the science from that, the algebra from that, the math from that, and we'll not get into math, so you're safe, and puts it into it. And still gives you something unique. It's not totally random like this slider goes complete 78 and the other slider goes minus 62. No, it works together in coordination. But what if you know all about these adjustment layers? What if you know how to work the curves or drag the selective color sliders? You don't really need this, do you? Here's the thing. We don't really know what we want, but we do know what we like when we see it. So the Infinite Color gives you that option to browse through different looks and come across something which you wouldn't have done unless it was an accident. So you get to see what you might really love even if you had not imagined to create it. Now if you're not well versed with all of these adjustment layers, I would highly recommend that you watch the videos linked up in the description and learn how they work before working on the panel. Because panels will give you a look. You know how to work the adjustment so that you can customize it in your own way. That is more important than getting the panel. Learn it first and then use the panel to give you some imagination to open up your ideas. I'm fond of this panel and I personally highly recommend this panel as I was totally impressed when I color graded a recent photo that I took that you might have seen in the previous tutorial, and it gave the image, as you can see, a whole new life. You can get Infinite Color Panel right now using this link, and I have something very special for you. Only and only on PiXimperfect. Pratik is a great friend and he was so kind enough to let us use this code called PIX, and if you use this code, you get $35 off. And guess what? This is the highest discount available anywhere. And as promised, I do have a special download for you. all the images that we edited in this video, all the finished PSDs is available for you to download. Not just images, finished PSDs. So they're like 10 to 15 or something PSDs. So you can go through the different look and see it for yourself. Also, it's important that when you open those PSDs, study each adjustment, see how the curves go, see how the sliders go, and learn from it. That's a great learning tool as well. Hope this video showed you something new, and if this video was entertaining or you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tip, trick, or tutorial. Thank you so very much for all your support. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.